Welcome back, listeners, to another riveting episode of Red Hunt, where I, Red, delve into the captivating world of relationship stories found on Reddit. So grab a cup of tea and prepare for an emotional roller coaster that'll leave you wanting more. Mother thinks she's entitled to my family. When I, 24-year-old female, was 2 years old, I was adopted by my half-brother's dad, 65-year-old male. This happened because my mother, 51-year-old female, was in prison throughout my childhood due to drug use and stealing. My dad did everything he could to prevent me from having the same lifestyle as my birth mother. He has been single all this time because he was focused on raising us, and I don't know who my birth father is. I reconnected with my birth mother when I was 13. Unfortunately, she still drank and used drugs. Her influence on me was scary because I didn't want to become like her. When I stayed over at her place, she would be drunk and confrontational, whispering things like, "You bitch, I know you stole my gold ring," while I was in bed at 1 a.m. It was unbelievable. Then she would leave the room and scream, saying that she didn't want me, she wanted my older sister, 25-year-old female, who was raised by her birth father. Waking up to that was crazy. Now I am married and my husband, 26-year-old male, doesn't want my birth mother around our child. He believes she is toxic and manipulative and would have a negative influence on our family. I agree with him. I have explained to her why I don't want my daughter around her and how she influenced me negatively as a teenager. I don't want my daughter to experience the same thing. However, she always comes up with excuses and never admits her mistakes. She blames others for her actions. For example, she doesn't remember things that I clearly remember, like when I was 2 and thought she was dead on the sofa, but now I realize she was high on heroin. She has a victim mindset, blaming the world for her choices, and she turns everything toxic. She claims that she would have never chosen a man over her mother, but I am choosing the family I created and a healthy lifestyle. I feel like I could be in the wrong for not wanting any contact with her. She has hurt me and affected my mental health. Whenever we talk, she either offers me money or suggests that we meet up. When I refuse the money, she gets angry and gives me the silent treatment. I am hurt and don't want to feel responsible for her life and how she could influence my choices as a parent. She feels entitled to my daughter and feels entitled to me and my brothers, 22-year-old male and 20-year-old male. They are both successful now, thanks to how my dad raised us. She claims that she pushed us out and gave us life, but it's actually thanks to my dad that they have good jobs despite his struggles as a single parent. We can't have a conversation without it turning manipulative and toxic. Therefore, I have decided to cut all contact with her for the sake of my own health and my family's well-being. I wish she could have been normal, and I don't appreciate the things she says about my dad. She blames him for not being there during my childhood and tells me he isn't my dad just because we're not blood related. She also blames my husband for my decision to keep her away, despite the fact that she made her own life choices. When I got married and became pregnant with my daughter, she started saying inappropriate things, like how she could have a baby at the age of 50. It wasn't something a grandmother would say. When I was a teenager, I felt sorry for her and fell for her victim act, but now that I have my own daughter and have grown up, I can see her true colors. She would badmouth my husband, hoping I would join in, but it only made me hate her more, to be honest. She also tries to lie about her age, and when I call her out on it, she says it's because she still looks young and has periods. It's all just confusing to me why she would want to talk about that when I just had a daughter. It's totally understandable that you don't want your daughter around someone who has had such a negative influence on you. Cutting off contact for the sake of your own mental health and your family's well-being sounds like the right decision. Don't feel guilty for prioritizing the family you've created and the healthy lifestyle you want for your daughter. Am I the antagonist for sending away the girl who came to clean my house because she ate my cake? I am a 24-year-old female who is married to my 28-year-old husband. Together, we have a 4-year-old daughter named Aita. We both have busy work schedules, and I often work from home. Last week, I needed some cleaning done, so I called an agency and hired a girl named Eva to clean our house. We agreed on a rate of $40 per hour. When Eva arrived at my house, she brought her 8-year-old sister along because she had no one else to watch her. While I wasn't thrilled about this, I understood her situation and didn't say anything. I showed Eva the playroom that needed to be cleaned, and her sister began touching the toys. Again, I decided not to say anything. As Eva started working, I went to my room to get ready to pick up a cake for Aita and pick her up from school. However, I heard a noise coming from Alaia's playroom, so I hurried over. I found Eva's sister playing in the room, and she had accidentally broken a glass bowl that was custom-made for Aita when she was born. I was annoyed at this point, but I managed to control my frustration and asked Eva to clean up the mess and watch her sister more closely. I then left to pick up the cake, which was Alaia's favorite with strawberries. The cake was decorated with strawberries on only one side of the top, along with other decorations. After placing it in the fridge, I left again to pick up Aita from school. When we returned home and entered the kitchen, I saw Eva's sister eating a large piece of the cake, specifically the part with the strawberries and decorations. This was unusual because the cleaning staff never opens my fridge or touches any of my food. I asked Eva what she thought she was doing, and she replied, "My sister was sad and really wanted cake, so I thought she could have a piece." This upset Aita because she had been looking forward to her cake with strawberries, and now the piece with strawberries was gone. I told Eva that it was not her place to decide whether her sister could eat something from my fridge without asking me. I mentioned that she could have waited for me to return, as I had informed her that I would be back. Additionally, I explained that even if she did allow her sister to have some cake, she shouldn't have taken the decorated piece meant for my daughter. In response, Eva said, "You're getting mad for no reason. Just take the money from my pay." Frustrated, I told her to gather her belongings and leave with her sister. I paid her $120, even though she had only been at the house for 2 hours, and told her to leave. Afterward, I discussed the situation with a friend who told me that I had overreacted over a piece of cake. She believed I should have understood the little girl's perspective. However, I reiterated that it wasn't just about the cake, but also about the lack of manners in opening my fridge and taking an unboxed cake without permission. Now I am wondering if I overreacted. So, am I the asshole? It's completely understandable that you were upset when Eva's sister broke a sentimental item and then proceeded to eat your daughter's cake without permission. You hired Eva to clean your house, not to bring her sister along and have her cause damage and take food. It's not your responsibility to accommodate her sister, and Eva should have known better. I am starting to dislike my mom for no particular reason. I used to have a strong love for my mom when I was younger, but as I've grown up, my feelings towards her have changed and I'm not sure why. I find myself avoiding conversations with her, providing minimal responses, and not wanting to spend time with her. Even when we go on vacation together, I feel uncomfortable in her presence, despite her not doing anything wrong. She tries to get my attention by resting her face on my shoulder and telling me to smile, which only irritates me. Additionally, I dislike it when she greets me first thing in the morning when I come out of my room. Every day after work, she tries to talk to me about her day and asks about mine, but sometimes I pretend to be asleep to avoid interacting with her. Although there are certain things she does that frustrate me, deep down, I know she does them out of care. For example, when we're on vacation, she texts me multiple times a day asking how I am. If I don't respond for an hour or so, she will send the same question again or inquire about my whereabouts. Sometimes if I reply after an hour, she will say, "Finally, I've been waiting and waiting," which makes me feel put off. She also frequently asks me to text her when I'm in the hotel or to send pictures, but I just want her to leave me alone and let me live my life independently. There was a time during my childhood when she used a belt to discipline me because I didn't want to go to school, and she would often force me to wear certain clothing or go to activities where I felt uncomfortable. However, these instances were rare and I still loved her, or at least I think I did. I have to acknowledge that she has always been supportive of me, paying for my education and being there for me when I face trouble. She consistently takes care of our family's needs. Recently, my mom suggested we go on vacation together to Thailand, but I declined because I prefer to have solo trips to fully relax. Part of the reason is that I don't enjoy her company and want to experience things on my own, but I didn't express that to her. She responded with, "But you can't be alone all the time. It's not good." I explained that it's just my personality and she has to accept it. She then said, "But you have to accept me too. I'm old and I need attention," which made me feel uncomfortable, and I told her so. Unfortunately, she called me selfish and accused me of being too independent. As an immigrant family, she mentioned that she regretted moving and believed things would have been different if we hadn't. Additionally, she asked why I looked angry and requested that I smile, to which I responded, "Mom, you're annoying, stop it." In turn, she said, "Okay, fine, I'll leave. I am currently seeking therapy for my issues, but since my next diagnostic appointment is in 1.5 months, I have to cope with this situation for now. I believe I am struggling with depression, and I also have attachment issues in romantic relationships that sometimes lead to thoughts of self-harm. If any of you think I'm selfish or bad, please feel free to say so. However, it is incredibly challenging to ignore my own feelings. The housing crisis makes it difficult to move out, and if I were to seek roommates, my family would be offended, wondering why I prefer to live with strangers rather than with them. In summary, my feelings towards my mom have changed over the past year. I used to love her, but now I try to avoid interacting with her and feel uncomfortable in her presence, despite her not doing anything wrong. Certain behaviors like excessive texts on vacation and a desire to spend time together frustrate me. There were occasional instances of physical discipline in my childhood, but she has always supported our family. However, her recent desire for a vacation together has caused tension between us. I am currently seeking therapy for depression and attachment issues. Unfortunately, moving out is challenging due to the housing crisis, and living with roommates might upset my family. It sounds like you're really struggling with your feelings towards your mom right now. It can be difficult when our relationships with our parents change as we grow older. Therapy can definitely be helpful in navigating those emotions and finding healthier coping mechanisms. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's okay to prioritize your own mental health and personal space. Hang in there, and I hope your therapy appointment helps you process everything. I caught my GF planning to take our child and get back with her eggs. Me, 20-year-old male, and my girlfriend, also 20, moved to another country and have been living together for about 2 years now. We recently had a beautiful little girl and everything seemed good. However, about 6 months after the birth, we found ourselves going through a rough patch in our relationship. We started having constant arguments over little things, and there were even threats of a breakup and taking the child, although we never actually went through with it. At that time, I want to introduce as my cousin's girlfriend, and she and my girlfriend were close. They would talk about everything from what I knew. One day, and my girlfriend had a petty argument that got really heated. I overheard on the phone saying that she would tell me about what my girlfriend had been doing or planning. This prompted me to confront my girlfriend about what she said after she hung up the phone. She then asked me to promise not to get mad, and revealed that she had been talking to her ex a few weeks earlier. She told me that she was planning to move in with him and fix their relationship when she went back home to visit. I asked her to show me the messages, and I saw that they were talking about making a nursery for our baby and planning things to do when she moved in with him. However, she then claimed that she stopped it as soon as she realized it wasn't what she wanted. My heart sank, and I felt rage building up inside me, but I didn't allow myself to be violent or say anything hurtful because our baby was in the room. I ended up leaving the house, not knowing how long or how far I mindlessly walked. The fact that she had plans to separate me from our family and play pretend with her ex using our daughter is devastating to me. I haven't broken up with her yet, and I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm still in love with her, or maybe I'm just scared that if I do break up, she will actually go through with her plan. I love my daughter and want to be in her life, but I fear that my girlfriend won't allow it if we split. Has anyone been through a similar situation? If so, how did you get through it? It sounds like you're in a really difficult spot with your girlfriend, especially with the added complexity of having a child together. It's understandable that you're feeling conflicted and scared about what might happen if you break up. It might be worth looking into legal advice to understand your rights as a father and how you can ensure your daughter's well-being no matter what happens. Hang in there, and I hope things work out for the best. Am I the antagonist for asking my stepmother to leave my mother's family's Christmas celebration? My parents divorced when I was a teenager. My mother passed away 10 years ago, and my father, Joe, male in his 70s, remarried about 20 years ago to Lisa, female, late 60s. I'm an only child, a 42-year-old female. My relationship with Lisa is rocky, but not for typical stepchild reasons. She stirs up issues, is sometimes mean and confrontational. I've spent my adult life trying to preserve peace, and kept most of this hidden from Joe as I didn't want to make things worse. After several years and more issues with Lisa, we finally addressed it with Joe. He agreed that her behavior was problematic. Her actions are well known within her own children, their friends, and extended family. It's no secret, and we've seen it damage their relationships over time. For example, Lisa would frequently turn a framed photo of my mother and me face down, even at our wedding. She lost the keys to my mother's car that we needed to sell after her passing. She repeatedly introduced herself as my deceased mother at our wedding shower, and she would insult me, my husband, and even my in-laws. While my mother's side of the family always gathers on Christmas Day, I have hosted them at my home in recent years. We aren't extremely close, but it's the one day out of the year we spend together, and it's a nice way to remember my mother while still maintaining those family relationships. In the past few years, Joe has attended my mom's family Christmas celebration because he was a part of their family for over 20 years. Although there was some animosity towards Joe after the divorce, the family has let go of those feelings. However, they still have a strong dislike for Lisa because my mother despised her, and they are aware of the issues she has caused. This Christmas, Joe messaged my husband and asked if Lisa could come to my mother's family celebration at our home. My husband politely informed him that her attendance would not be well received. Joe responded with disappointment. We continued with our usual Christmas plans, and nothing else was said about Lisa joining us. However, on Christmas Day, Lisa showed up uninvited in the middle of the gathering. She let herself in and walked up to my husband saying, "I'm here to make my presence known." My husband remained silent, and she asked, "Am I welcome here?" He simply replied, "No." She turned around and left. Now Joe is throwing a fit. He called my husband and berated him for denying her entry. He criticized my husband's character, shamed him, and said many hurtful things through phone calls, texts, and emails. He is demanding that we apologize to Lisa, accusing us of holding grudges and embarrassing the family. So am I the asshole for not including my stepmother? It's completely understandable that you didn't want Lisa to attend your mom's family Christmas given her history of causing issues and being mean towards you and your loved ones. You and your husband were polite and honest about your feelings, and Joe should respect your boundaries instead of lashing out and demanding apologies. It seems like Joe needs to address his own issues and have a serious conversation with Lisa about her behavior. Am I the antagonist for cursing out my elderly family for supporting a single mother? I recently went home with my mother to visit my grandmother and aunt and uncle. My grandmother, let's call her Kathy, is super close with her younger sister Katie. My mom's side of the family is from a small town in the Midwest, and we all get together for a summer event. This event includes not just our family, but also other families from the area who all know each other. 2 summers ago, in 2022, Katie's daughter Kristen, who I think is in her late 30s, started crying in the middle of the reunion. She confessed that she was having an affair, and it turned out that the affair partner was already at the reunion and had already met Kristen's daughter. Kristen's husband at the time, Jerry, was also there and witnessed the whole thing, but he stayed quiet and eventually left. This caused a huge blow-up within the family, Katie was super embarrassed by her daughter's actions, and at the time, the whole family was furious. However, within a month, everyone accepted Kristen and rejected her ex-husband, while she moved her affair partner in with her and her daughter. For context, I grew up with both my parents in the service industry. My dad drank, used substances, and was abusive. My mom, on the other hand, was the best, and is still my best friend. When my mom finally left my dad, the entire family criticized her for keeping me away from my father and told her she should have stayed in the marriage for the sake of her child. This is ridiculous because my dad had issues with addiction, couldn't hold a job, and treated us poorly. I always defended my mom and told the truth to the family, but they didn't care. Now, on to the actual story. We received a Christmas card from Kristen, which had her daughter, and her affair partner in it. The family started discussing how wrong it was that Jerry took half of the house and half of Kristen's pension in the divorce. They began to talk negatively about Jerry, calling him a loser for still working in a restaurant, right in front of my mom. That's when I pointed out that Jerry went back to bartending so that he could take care of their daughter since Kristen worked all the time. They insisted that Kristen was a single mother, which is not true and disrespectful to people like my mom. They called me disrespectful, but I said that I wasn't surprised they took Kristen's side since they had both cheated on their husbands. This caused a lot of shock because I wasn't supposed to know about their infidelity, and they had confided in my mother. My mom seemed mad that I had brought it up, but my grandma and aunt were furious. They called me beyond disrespectful and said they won't talk to me unless I apologize. To clarify, my grandma, aunt, and Kristen's partners were not abusive, and they were not escaping a bad marriage. However, the only one being chastised is my mom. So, am I the asshole in this situation? It's understandable that you stood up for your mom and pointed out their hypocrisy. It's unfair that they took Kristen's side and criticized Jerry, while ignoring your mom's struggles with your dad. They should apologize to your mom instead. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.